Bonjour.
On your memo page, you have the co-function identities, I think.
Yes.
Cosine of 90 minus x, or how did I write it? Look at, do you have the co-function identities?
Cosine of 90 minus theta.
Theta, okay. So as a cosine of 90 minus theta, on future quizzes, what would happen is I would write something like sine of 90 minus theta. As one of the questions, as an answer to that would be cosine theta. Do y'all understand if I tell you that cosine of 90 minus theta
Yes.
is sine theta? That means they're co-functions of each other. It can go either way, all right? Because what I mean by that is, so this statement is actually telling you also this statement. Some of y'all may have chosen to write down all 6, and some people maybe wrote down 3. But it's just like sine is 1 over cosecant. What's cosecant is 1 over sine when you see that, okay? So what I mean by that, give me a number for theta, Julia. Just any number in the whole wide world. 42. Okay? And 90 minus 42, I can't subtract, even though I'm your math teacher. So
No, 48.
48. Okay? So we're not going to do it right now, but if you got out your calculators and punched in sine of 48, it would be the same thing as the cosine of 42. And you see it works both ways. It's just saying that these are complements of each other. Okay? Y'all okay with that? Yeah. All right. Now, again, you don't really need to write this down or anything, but it's always nice to know why things work like that. If this is Julia's 42 degrees and this is 90 degrees, by your geometry, that leaves this to be 48 degrees, 90 minus that. And the sine of this number, let's call that A over C, is the same as the cosine of this one. So do you see the sine of 42 is opposite over hypotenuse, and the cosine of 48 is adjacent over hypotenuse. Both times you're putting A over C, if you care about that works, okay? It's always nice to at least know why it works, even if you don't have to reproduce it. It always helped me in school to know why things work. So anyway, you've got your cofunction identities. So what will happen on your memo page is I would give you one side and you would give me the other side. Just like if I put sine over cosine, you say tangent. Cosine over sine, you say cotangent. What is cosine of negative x equal? Okay, I want you to have a mental image of this right now. Here's cosine. Y'all are all like excellent graphers, like every single one of you. You all know that's what cosine looks like if this is your target, right? Mm-hmm. Do you see how it doesn't matter if you go in this direction to get your answer on cosine or in this direction? Any direction you go in, 30 or negative 30, pi over 6 or negative pi over 6. Do y'all see that's evenly displaced? So it doesn't matter if you go in opposite directions on a cosine graph, you'll get the same answer. I also explained it this way. I bet y'all will remember this, I hope. Again, you may not can reproduce it, but I showed you why it happened. Cosine, all students take as positive in the fourth quadrant, which y'all are really good at, okay? And remember how we talked about if I went cosine of negative 100 degrees, that's too far. So let's say negative 200 degrees, I would land right here. And if I went the cosine of positive 200 degrees, I would land right there. Same reference angle, same sign, so same answer. Did y'all see what I mean? Okay. And that with sine of negative x and tangent of negative x, it'll equal the opposite of what you have. Sine of negative x equals negative sine of x. And that's just because opposite directions give you opposite signs. Like here's sine. All students take calculus. If you wind around this way, you get a positive number. If you wind around this way, you get the same reference angle, but you get a negative. So that's just saying, if you go in opposite directions, you get opposite signs. Look at the sine graph as long as I've come this far. Y'all know sine goes right through there, through your target. And if I go in this direction, I get this answer. If I go the opposite direction, I don't get the same answer. I get the same number, but they have different signs. Do y'all see the difference? Okay, but ultimately you've got to memorize them. Okay, now I'm going to add a few more things to your memo page before we work some problems. We're not, because they were right. I double checked and didn't put it on the assignments. I have one printed, so it'll be next time. And I hand it back for one. Okay. So, do y'all have the double angles on your memo page?
Yes.
Okay. And you have sum and difference.
Yeah.
You have cofunctions.
Yes.
Quadrants. So we gotta have a few more things. Okay. So, here's a complete memo page. Oh, I'm in pre-cal topics. This is Katie Lapola's, because the honors just finished theirs and we're almost finished with ours. And I think you've got,
memo page in all scoring today when she was doing homework.
That's really nice.
In real life.
alright, so you have the quotient identities, the cofunction identities. Notice above 90 she wrote pi over 2 in case it's in radians, because 90 and pi over 2 are the same thing. Sum and difference, Pythagorean, we'll add this stuff. You have all your graphing, so it should make you feel pretty good. You've got almost everything. You've got double angle. We'll have to add in law of sines and law of cosines, but you see you're almost done, because you have all of this. Okay, so have your memo page out, but also keep it out for what we're gonna do today, so just have it handy. All right, now, let me do this first. Homework question. And I want to do some of them anyway. So I'm going to just kind of do a few and then just to make myself feel better that you are doing okay. All right, did I do number 1 the other day or part of it?
Number
did.
2, all of them.
All right, let's do number 1. Okay, I did all of them. What a nice teacher. Okay, so,
Yes, you did. On the video.
It's on the video.
Oh, right.
okay, so, okay, so on, okay, so I did 1, 2, and 3, or I did all the whole
You
page.
started with these,
I did the whole page.
except 10.
I didn't remember
Except
doing-
10 and 12.
I did everything.
Pretty
Did I
much.
just?
But it's okay, it was helpful.
Were y'all in here, or was it?
You
the
just,
end?
you
no,
just
no,
had
no,
going
no.
taught
I
this,
must have
and then
been
you taught
so
this spice.
sleepy. I don't even remember doing that. I was just on autopilot. Okay, so let me talk a little bit, okay, and those of you that need to look back at February, 7th, you can do that, because apparently it was very helpful. All right, so secant x is equal to negative 13 over 5. So once again, like, did y'all leave and I just?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did, because
Yeah.
we did.
I
I
remember
was-
now, because I started worrying if people went by, like, if
Yeah.
they would think I was okay. All right, so there we go.
They're
So
like,
there's no one in there.
You got loose.
We've heard about you. All right, that means cosine is negative 5 over 13, and it is not in quadrant 3. I would never say it that way. I would tell you what quadrant you're in. So it's in quadrant 2 by default. Are y'all okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got to know where cosine's negative. Cosine is x over r. Pythagorean theorem will give us 12. It's great to know for ACTs and SATs anyway, the 5, 12, 13 triangle. Why do I do positive 12? Because you do not want to do these without drawing a picture. Because girls, look, I could give you one like this that's in the 3rd quadrant. And if it was in the 3rd quadrant, it would still have the same adjacent and hypotenuse, but you see the opposite would be negative 12. So make a decision right here. If you're having to do the Pythagorean theorem, you would have x squared plus y squared equals r squared. So you go get y squared is equal to 169 minus 25, you get 144. And remember all those times in algebra you square rooted and said plus or minus 12. Make sure you pick the right one with the quadrant that you're in. All right, and then the real drill here was to make sure that you were just memorizing your identities. If you have one trig word, you can find all 6. Do y'all see how If I just have one trig word, but I can answer sine, cosine, secant, cosecant, cotangent, everything I need. All right, now, I have sine 2x. All right, you're memorizing that's 2 sine x cosine x. Right now, you have no clue really why this is even very important. Okay, you'll see it a little bit in our class in pre-cal, and you'll see it even more so in calculus, okay? But it's important sometimes that I go from a single angle to a double angle or vice versa. What do I mean by that? If this is 10, if x is 10, then this would be 20. Do y'all see what I mean? This would be the sine of 20 is equal to sine 10 cosine 10. All right? Like for instance, let's practice it on this one. Remove him. All right, so what is the sine of 60? Quick.
Oh
Three.
God,
No,
no.
3/2.
Good. All right. That should equal 2 sine something cosine something according to my little formula that you need to be memorizing, okay? So on a quiz, I would write sine 2x and then you'd fill in the rest, okay? So sine 2x is 2 sine x cosine x. If 2x is 60, then what is x? If 2x is 60,
30.
then what would go right here would be 30. All right, so I have 2 sine of 30. Sine of 30 is 1/2, and cosine of 30 is root 3 over 2. These 2's cancel out, and I get as my answer what we already knew was the right answer. Do y'all see how that works? Obviously, you could argue, well, why don't I just know the sine of 60, which I want you to, okay? But this leads us into all sorts of things that we're able to do that I'll show you as time goes by. All right, now, let's go back down to number 4. So number 4, on sine 2x, and get out your calculators, please. It's a window into what we're gonna be doing today anyway. All right, so, on number 4, sine 2x is 2 sine x cosine x. And this is angle x right here, girls. Sine of x is 12 over 13, opposite over adjacent. Cosine of x is negative 5 over 13. This is 2 over 1. So on the top, I multiplied everything and got negative 120 over 169. And then cosine 2x. I knew they gave me secant of x, not 2x. Secant of x was negative 13/5. And so I knew cosine of x was negative 5/13. And so out of the 3 cosine 2x ones, I chose this one. 2 cosine squared x minus 1. I hardly ever choose cosine squared minus sine squared, but you do need to know
Can you
it.
use 1 minus sine squared?
And you can, but it's 1 minus 2 sine squared x, and we should get the exact same answer.
2 sine or sine squared?
It's 1 minus 2 sine squared x.
Oh, I wrote that.
1 minus 2 sine squared x. Alright, so this is 2. This means cosine of x squared minus 1. Cosine was negative 5/13 because they gave me secant. By the way, it happens to almost everybody. You'll be working a problem out of the book or a worksheet and go, oh, I don't know the sine of x or the tangent of x, and I need it. Chances are you probably need to draw yourself a little triangle to find the missing side. If you find yourself like, oh wait, I need cosine x, where is it? If I've given you sine x, by default I've given you cosine x if you draw a little picture. So now this is 2 over 1. So this is 2 times 25 over 169 minus 1. So this is 50 over 169 minus 169 over 169. And I believe that was negative 119 over 169. You really do need to, at least before tests and quizzes, an exam, you do need to do these on your own to make sure you can get through all the arithmetic, not even the algebra. But there's something about practicing this arithmetic that makes you better at it. And it's a lot of arithmetic. Okay, now, what is the smartest thing to do for tan 2x?
Do sine
Over
2x
cosine. Yeah, there's a tan 2x identity that you may or may not have on your memo page, but I didn't push it. So I would put sine 2x, which is negative 120 over 169. And I'm gonna divide by this, but wouldn't I keep change flip? Multiply by the reciprocal. Are y'all okay if I move that fast? And then Mia, what are we gonna do? Girls, look,
Cross that one.
you get really big numbers if you multiply. But do y'all see these things are gonna cancel out? And you get 120 over 119. Did everybody get those answers one way or another?
Yes.
Okay, but do you understand?
But, yeah, cause I wrote down the formula wrong, or like the thing wrong, cause I had one, for the cosine one, I did it wrong. So then I've been using the wrong cosine one all along,
Okay,
but now I have it fixed.
okay. And it's a great, that's what homework's for, is you find that mistake and now probably you'll never make it again.
All students have those too.
Stop. Okay, now, see if you can use your calculator. Everybody get out your calculator. It's a challenge, okay? In fact, I'll give you a couple of bonus points if you can do what I'm asking you, okay? So you ready? Let's go to degrees. You don't have yours.
Go to the
Oh.
You can talk to each other if you want to share the bonus points or hoard them all yourself, that's okay too. Mia, do you want to look on this one? Girls always have a calculator. Just today you're going to see it's real important that you know what buttons to push. Go to mode, your neighbor will help you. Are y'all in degrees?
Yeah.
Okay, here's your challenge.
You can look at the top.
I gave you info, I'll circle it in red, that led to this info. This is cosine x equals negative 5/13. Here's what's super interesting. Think through this with me, okay? I never even knew what the angle was. Are y'all with me so far? But I found the sine, cosine, and tangent of an angle I don't even know. And then I doubled it and found the sine and cosine and tangent. I doubled the angle I didn't know and found out everything about it, which is kind of bizarre. Do y'all kind of see what I mean? I just said cosine of x is negative 5/13, and then you found the sine and the cosine and the tangent of an angle that was doubled. So here's your challenge. Your challenge is to use this fact. Use this fact, sine of x, this is x, is 12 over 13. And if you can find out what 2x is, I'll give you a couple of bonus points on the test. You can talk to each other. We did this a little bit in geometry. It's pretty challenging without a teacher telling you what to do though, but you can do it or I wouldn't give it to you. I'm not mean enough to offer bonus points that aren't doable.
Wait, how much?
Okay,
How did we get more than one guess?
Yeah,
Okay, our first guess is 134.76.
I know that it can't be, okay, I want 2x, not x.
Yeah.
132.
It can't be. I know what quadrant it's in,
Wait, what, X's or what?
what 2x is.
Oh, okay.
I'm using bonus to really drive home the lesson today,
How much time do we have?
a little bit more.
Is it 92.3?
Is it 67.3? We got the same answer as you, but it's
Girls, look at my picture and look at your information.
What? Oh, didn't it be one? But 134.
Is it 113?
Oh, but
Did you give me 2x?
wait 1 second. Oh, 269.52. No, wait, never mind.
It could be. Take the sign of your answer. Take the sign of 269.
very sure.
Oh no, that's weird.
What'd you get? What'd you get?
Negative 9.99.
Negative 0.99?
Yeah, negative 0.99.
I don't think that's it. I don't think it could be that big. Sign of that was, okay, something's wrong.
293?
It might be take the sign of that number from it. Oh, wait, no, yeah, it could be, well, what quadrant, no, it can't be. I know what quadrant it's in.
Oh, wait, yes.
I'll give you a clue, I know that it's in the third, I don't know what it is, obviously, because
Is it
I'm asking.
is it in the 200?
It's in the third quadrant.
Yeah, yeah, do that again.
How do I know it's in the third quadrant? Sine is negative, cosine is negative, and tangent was positive down the screen.
Is it 276?
Maybe take the sine of it. Take sine of 276. And some decimals, I guess, Elaine.
Yeah, it's good. Wait, hold up. It's 1.228. Sine of that times. Oh wait, hold on. We didn't do this. Okay, wait, so there's next one there. Oh yeah. I think we might be easy, so.
Let's see what it is myself. that I
Yeah.
know.
And this, and that's, okay, so then it's, 2 times 2 cosines. Can you not? That's cute.
I'm getting a negative number.
It should be negative.
Oh, negative 0.9.
No, that's what she got.
I got negative 0.92. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. You should be getting negative 0.7 if you got it right.
Wait,
Oh, we got it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you should get negative 0.7.
Oh, what possible? Did I do something wrong?
So sine of negative 45.
Did you get that?
Huh? The angle's not negative 45.
It's negative 0.7?
The angle is not negative 0.7. The
Oh, so we have to take the sine
the
of.
sine of that angle
Okay,
should
wait,
be
so take
negative
the sine
0.7.
of that. But you said it's in the third quadrant.
It is in the third quadrant, so it's gonna be in the 180 to 270 range.
Oh, sine of 225?
It's not a normal number. It's not one of our common angles, because we recognize these numbers. You know, they'd be like 1/2 and square root. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not a normal reference angle.
We got positive 7, a 0.67.
But what's your angle?
67.
Okay, look at my picture. The angle we're working.
I also got
X is-
positive
Oh, I
0.7.
wonder then if we did this.
Okay, but your angle,
Wait.
if you're getting her angle, it can't be the right angle. Correct angle, not right angle.
Subtract that from the one we have. That's what we did, we got that negative.
Negative's good.
Yeah, but it was
Negative what?
not again.
Alright, do it again.
Cause it did sine of, or tangent of 12. Cause it's for 2x.
Oh, I got negative 0.71.
Oh, what's your angle?
Sine of 314.
Oh, it's close, but that's not it. Wow, that's really close. 340. Yeah, it's gotta be in the third quadrant.
Okay.
And then, wait, and the sine of that. Nope, no, the 180 minus that one. Oh, wait, wait.
Did you get the same thing?
Negative 1. Maybe we did it wrong, but
It sounds like you're doing it right.
Okay, wait, hold on a second.
we used tangent, I guess, on the top. Maybe
7
that was
1,
it.
right?
Oh, maybe that was it. We used tangent on the top, very first, in the very beginning.
Still got negative 0.71.
Okay, I'm getting, for what?
For the
sorry.
sine of my angle.
I'm getting my angle and I'm close to it and it's in the third quadrant.
Oh, that's where you're doing the right process, but
We're supposed to use
you're
sine in the
looking
very
at-
beginning.
tangent would be this over this.
Come on.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
So
I don't know why.
So you're doing the right process, but you're very, very beginning.
Why are you really
Yeah.
doing it? Okay, wait.
Is it 226?
It might be take the sign of
Sine of 226 is negative 0.71.
it. Alright, now take the cosine of it.
Cosine of 226?
I got two.
Should be close to the same answer.
It's negative 0.69.
Okay, and then the tangent. Should be really close to 1.
I got point.
1.03.
You got it.
Yay.
Alright, just stay quiet for a minute because they're close.
I got 0.13
For your answers.
for my ankle.
Oh no, it's in the 200s.
I got 224 by the decimal.
Okay, oh, they did too. They got a decimal.
I got
Did you?
224.4.
Okay, did you take the sign of it? Take the sign of it. You should get,
negative 0.7.
okay.
I got 0.136.
What was, let me write yours. What was yours? Did you write it down?
Oh,
Or
I
was
have my
it in your,
number.
Jose, Nazareth might have done
And then for the cosine, I got, for the cosine of my number, I got negative 0.71.
Oh, even, or, well, you rounded that, right? You didn't get exactly that, did you?
What do you mean? Just answer? No, I like,
You rounded it. some.
Yeah.
Okay.
I played around with the numbers.
Oh yeah, and she used it too.
These
Pin and when you
There's
take the
another
middle
one.
number and then you go
And then you go
up
up
or
and go down, yeah.
Oh, that's like every single.
The tangent.
Oh, you don't call it 12, that's wrong.
That's wrong.
Do you do plug-in?
What's the plug-in? Plug number?
Where you put, like, let x be 3, and then
Wouldn't that be-
I think
That's
you
just
put it-
algebra as a
put it up
concept.
and next to 224.
No, 'cause, yeah, I love
And
that.
then there, what else?
It's
We get x squared is
Exactly.
exactly.
No, it's like, you use it, you double the area of the square, what happens to like when
Yes,
it's the
we
sidelines?
got
Then I use pin and I'm like,
possibly.
I don't know if it is, so I'll just use a number to help me.
Oh my god, wait, I got it. Wait,
Alright,
and then
the numbers are slightly off, but you may have done the right process.
about like reading? I just got.
Are you at SAT or ACT?
Okay,
Okay.
so my negative.
Yeah. Your angle's got to be past 180. Okay. So Nazareth here, this is all
Your
super
nails scare me.
close. I think y'all are all doing the same.
This is
Do
this.
you know how?
Right, but she has almost the same
Yeah,
number.
obviously.
Y'all are all around it. Okay.
And then you're done.
Alright, so, somebody that, I'm gonna get Ava to explain it, okay? Because I overheard her. And, I'm giving bonus points to Kate and you'll have a chance for others later, don't worry. Should I not? I am.
Oh.
I didn't, I did that. I know.
Just kidding.
Just kidding. And close my book. Nazareth and Ava and Alina. All right, now, listen to Ava's reasoning. Sorry, Ava, are you okay if I put you on the spot?
Yeah.
All right, you're okay with it?
Yeah,
Hey,
I
girls,
got
y'all
this. I
gotta
got
know how to
some
do this.
also.
Listen up.
Okay, so we got, Alina and I did the tangent of the smallest angle of the triangle, like towards the center. And then we subtracted that from 180 to get the biggest angle. Then we multiplied that angle by 2 and then got the sine of that angle.
Okay, so this was and y'all must have done something similar. And you must have done something similar, or you wouldn't have gotten that. Do y'all know what you did?
Yeah.
At first, I did it with the sine of the wrong angle, so that's why my number was too big.
But then what happened to everybody, why it was a bonus, is you at first got the wrong answer.
Yeah.
Everybody got something in the first or the third
Yeah.
quadrant. You got the wrong answer, which should be a little frightening. But I loved seeing this without having to teach it. That when I gave you a ratio, you went straight to inverse sine to find the angle.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But there's problems with that, and we're gonna write it on our memo page, but I did this in my honors pre-cal class today too. It takes longer to let yourself, I don't have any idea, it's just something somebody sent me. Anyway, it takes a little longer to teach with, girls listen. It takes a little longer to teach with discovery, but I think it makes it so much more meaningful, and I chose today to do that. And offer bonus, so you try really hard, because wherever you were in the process, if you knew you get the bonus points, you'll understand what I'm about to show you better. But if I hadn't had you do that first, you'd be going, oh, like, it's one of the hardest topics that you just made easier, okay? Let me ask you a very simple question. You can use your calculators. So I just need the answer to that. All right, first of all, use the inverse key to get to what you needed, right? Just like you did with sine, cosine, and tangent, okay? So pause. Inverse sine, inverse cosine, and inverse tangent have nothing to do with secant, cosecant, and cotangent. You're not flipping something over, you're completely undoing it, right? You're looking for an angle. All right, what'd you get on you?
I got 10.81. Same.
Yeah.
Well, actually 82 if you like round.
1, 2,
Significant.
10.81665305.
Thank
Oh
you.
my god.
I never
I was gonna say
understood
significant.
sig figs.
Is that the answer?
That's probably why I failed chem.
I got a C.
I feel like
Is that bio?
I feel like that's
No,
not.
that
If
was
you would
10.
please square negative 10.81, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, it's positive and negative. It's plus minus with that.
But what did your
formula sign.
calculator give you?
The positive one.
Only
Yeah,
one.
I got the
That's
negative.
why it.
I got negative also.
Negative.
I got negative.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
That's so
Oh,
cool.
girl.
Yeah, because we didn't do parentheses.
Because you didn't
Squares
do-
give you the negative
That's
and the
not
positive.
fair.
Hemdasky.
Pause, girls. This is negative 4. I'm not kidding. I know a lot of times I'm kidding. I'm like, just kids trying to make a point. That's negative 4.
Ow.
Okay? This is 4. The difference between these two statements, in fact, I can illustrate it to you. What would you do if you saw that on a piece of paper? Wouldn't you say 9 minus 25?
Yes.
You wouldn't say 9 plus 25, right? So if I just have, what are the rules for exponents? Sorry, this was not my lesson for today, but it just came up. And I feel your pain. I remember actually as a Algebra 1 teacher, my first year teaching, and I just started them off the first day of school with some really basics, and I was just checking my answers in the back, because I'm a new teacher, and I still do it because I'm an old teacher, but I didn't want to make any mistakes that first day. You can see I'm comfortable with mistakes now. They're sometimes good. But I looked up in the back and went, oh my gosh, this is a really bad start. Because I expected it to be 4. And I majored in mathematics. It's just that nobody ever writes that down very much for you to think about it. But if I put this there, wouldn't you definitely say 6 minus 4? Okay? So technically it doesn't matter what's in front of it. Does it? And then I had to sit and think, well, thank God I looked up in the back of the book so that I can really teach them some good algebra that somehow I missed. I am sure my teacher said it to me, but I'm sure I was probably doodling or writing notes or whatever I wasn't supposed to be doing, okay? And it's funny that I escaped the rest of my career without worrying about this. But exponent, what is this? Is that a squared b squared?
It's 8 times.
Not unless I put it in parentheses, not unless I step up and go, oh, I mean everything in front of it, okay? So what are you squaring here? The 2. So that's the negative of 2 squared. Do y'all see what I mean? Unless I tell you otherwise. Sorry, that was just a little freebie. I didn't realize that was gonna happen on your calculators. Parentheses are super important. Remember your Algebra 1 teacher saying that? I remembered my Algebra 1, but I found her aggravating because I didn't think I needed to do all that. Guess what happened later on in life? I needed to do all of that. Okay, and I write parentheses like crazy. All right, but the point of that was y'all started telling me that. Okay, but this picture looks like this. Y'all know what the x squared graph looks like, right?
Yeah.
And so when I get up to 117, how many answers should there be? 1, 2. At 10.81 and at negative 10.81. I hate the plus or minus symbol. I'd rather you write it's 10.81 comma and negative 10.81. Hey girls,
Back to the
look what just happened. Your calculator didn't give you but 1 item. right? Are y'all okay with that? Your calculator didn't give you but one of them, and so we've got a problem. Because what did you type, girls, listen, you didn't type x squared into your calculator, you typed this into your calculator, right? Then y'all hit the square root button. You might remember from your parent graphs that it only looks like this. Square root is only prepared to give you positives. Who's it up to find the negatives? Okay, so let's do this real quickly. Y'all are gonna help me do this really fast, to really drive this point home, but you kind of taught it to yourself more than you think. But here's the deal, as soon as you hit that second key, which you've hit a lot to get to square root, you're gonna hit it a lot to get to angles for sine, cosine, and tangent. You just learned yourself that it might not give you the right one. You've gotta put yourself in the correct quadrant, because it's not prepared to give you all of them, okay? All right, so if you'll pass these around. You don't need a calculator for these. Please don't use a calculator. We're gonna do it together. We're gonna do it together. There'll be an extra one for me somewhere. Oh, that's fine. All right, girls. So tell me all the answers you can find of sine x equals 1/2.
30.
All right, 30. Is there another one?
60 no, never mind, sorry.
You're right, but I wanna know every time that from 0 to 360, 150. There's two ways to look at this. Here's a sine graph. Aren't there 2 times it should hit 1/2? Your brain's working just like they programmed your calculator, by the way. The first one you said is 30. Is it 150? Is it, well, it's really why they programmed it that way, which makes us feel good, okay? Listen up, girls. Here's, let me, tag on to what Alina said. Technically, they could have programmed your calculator to do this. And when you put in square root of 16, it would say -4. But who would do that? Wouldn't they give you the positive one instead? They're both right, but you see they just used common sense? All right, so just stay with me for a while. I think the best way to think about this is what you girls were doing when you were trying to get the bonus though. Sine is all students take calculus. Sine's positive at 30, but somebody did a quick reference angle and got me 150. It happens twice, okay? Cosine of -1/2, number 2. Let's see, it's a 60-degree angle.
Oh.
Isn't it, girls? Are y'all with me?
Yeah.
120.
And, but you're right, Anya, I've gotta be over here. Julia at 120, is that the only one?
240.
Down here at 240. Okay, stop me if you don't get what your friends are doing. All right, so cosine's negative in this quadrant and in this
Oh
quadrant.
no, I
You're
get it.
okay.
I just realized, are they always gonna be 120 degrees apart, or is that just a coincidence?
That's just a coincidence, but boy, we always as mathematicians wanna be looking for that. It wouldn't happen with tangent, but tangents are 180 degrees apart. That's interesting, Nazareth. Let's keep our eyes open, okay? You may discover something, the Nazareth principle. Okay, cosine, what pops in your head? What reference angle with a root 2/2?
45.
And since it's positive, I can use 45. Yeah, and it's gonna fall apart here, but, because where else is cosine positive?
Q4.
315. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
315, quadrant 4. All right, number 4, cosine x equals negative square root of 2/2. I think y'all got the drill. That would be in the second and third. So it'd be 135 and 225. All right, tangent's 1. Think of all the ones you can from 0 to 360. 45? Almost. Not 135.
315. I'll take 250.
Isn't it in the third quadrant? 225? Or y'all all
Yeah.
think really hard. All right, number 6, tangent x. What's my reference angle here? Root 3/3. And now you see why it's so important I made you memorize all that. Because if you don't have it memorized, you're not gonna think of the correct angle. This one's 30, and I have to go also to 210. Are y'all okay with that?
Yeah.
All right, and then tan x equals negative root 3 over 3. Let me see if I, yes, that's one of them, great. All right, so
330.
perfect, awesome. Negative, so 150 and 330. All right, let's pause for a minute, get out your calculators. And you could have, I hope, done all of those in radians, but it said 0 to 360. Hope you know your radians. We need to do radian game again sometime. Go, now find the angle with your calculator for this. Oh, this was negative. Find the angle with your calculator. This last one. Enter this last one. Uh-huh. Now, how are you gonna find the angle? You're looking
Oh,
for
just kidding.
okay, you're looking for the angle. Somebody's found it by now, haven't you?
30.
Arctan is negative square root of 3 over 3. Don't be scared. What does it give you?
It gives me -1.
Wait,
Well, I just typed it in.
Negative 30.
arctan of negative square root of 3 over 3?
Negative 30.
Yeah. Did you get -1?
Yeah, it just gave me -1. But I don't think I put.
Is that your?
I got negative 30 as well.
I got negative point.
My friend
So that
Or
can
Should I
should
put
be-
it in the parentheses?
I did.
I got
I got
negative
my hair.
negative 30?
I got negative 30, yeah. Even though I know it's negative 30.
Inverse tan. Not tan. I don't know what you typed in. So inverse tan, arctan, inverse tan.
Yeah, no, I typed out like the fraction.
Do it again. Or see if she's done it.
Let
me see, type it out.
Tomorrow, but literally came out of nowhere.
About
Like,
360.
So I was scared, so that's really.
My first year, I got tangent on
So you just wanted me to do like 10?
I don't know. See, like, I just scared, so therefore I wouldn't be done.
I wasn't trying to get that. Oh, you got the number?
Yeah.
Just go inverse tan of the block.
Okay.
Hey girls, I'm sorry. I need to clarify what's happening now. When you're looking for an angle, it's like you sort of are dividing by the word tangent, but not really. You can't divide by a word. But the way that we talk about it, you may have heard me saying it, you're pushing inverse tan of negative square root of 3 over 3, right? Everybody look at the board. When you're pushing inverse tan, another word for that you'll hear me say is arctan. Those are interchangeable. Just like 3 times 4, or 3 times 4, or 3 times 4. If I say arctan or inverse tan, I don't even know why people say that, but I say it a lot because it's easier to type them in my testing quizzes. Those are interchangeable. You're always looking for an angle when you do that. All right, lesson learned, watch this. I said give me all the answers from 0 to 360. When you come up on one that's not a reference angle that you don't know, you're gonna have to depend on your calculator. In my other classes, I say you're gonna have to depend on your stupid calculator, because it doesn't have a brain. Y'all were all the ones that were working with your brain a little while ago, trying to figure out what's going on. Because your calculator should just flat, if it was smart, it should have just answered the problem for you, and everybody have bonus points in 13 seconds. Girls, listen, listen, listen. You don't want to miss this, okay? It said 0 to 360. So this is the argument of, oh, you let people use calculators in your class, they must not even have to work. You gotta work a lot harder with one on your calculator than one in your head. The calculator is gonna really make sure you understand what you're doing. Because suppose a student doesn't know this. Their only recourse is to go second tangent negative square root of 3 over 3, in which case it tells them negative 30 degrees. Well, what would you think of me if Alex looked at me and said, pick a number between 1 and 100, and I said negative 23? It's not between 1 and 100. Do y'all see what I mean? This is give me all the answers between 0 and 360, and my calculator said negative 30. I'm like, that's not what I was asking for. That's all it's programmed to do, so it gives me some help. If I wanna go from 0 to 360, I have negative 30, at least it gives me a reference angle, but I have to go this way and grab 330, and I have to be even smarter and know that it's also negative over here. Did y'all see what I mean? Okay, the reason I started with that x squared equals 117 or whatever I did, was I knew that most of y'all would just report to me 10 point whatever, when it's plus or minus 10 point. Girls, when you use that second button to square root or tan or inverse tan, inverse sine, and inverse cosine, it's only gonna give you one answer, okay? Now, so I gotta teach you how to manage that. And we also need to write something on our memo page. I don't know if we'll get it done today or not, but please stay with me these last few minutes. How many answers are there to this question?
2.
Oh, infinity? Infinite.
The first two, well, first one I think I was 30. Then I think of 150. But doesn't it also happen backwards and forwards over and over? It happens at negative 150, it happens at negative 210, it just happens over and over. It doesn't happen at negative 150, I was wrong. It happens at negative 210. It happens over and over again. So no wonder they didn't program our calculators. Because you, in my little speech a second ago, you should be sitting there going, wait, I thought super smart people programmed my Texas Instruments calculator. But how mad would you be at them if you went inverse tangent 1/2 and could never use your calculator again, because meanwhile it's spitting out all the angles, okay? So what they're doing is they're giving you some help, but you've got to manage what you need correctly. All right, try the last one on your own. All right, now this is your job. Find sine of x equals 1/3, and you're going to give me all the answers you can think of from 0 to 360. And you and I both need a calculator for this because this is an angle I don't know. Always give me 3 decimal places.
For the angle?
And girls, you don't have to find the fraction first. You can just slap it right in. Inverse sine 1/3. Do you have one?
19.471.
Yeah.
All right, is there another one?
Yeah.
160? Yeah.
Sounds good. 160.
1528.
Very good. Awesome. I didn't even taught y'all you're teaching yourselves. This gives me literally goosebumps, okay? Girls, what y'all are doing is the butterfly, okay? You're going, thank you to my calculator for a reference angle. That's all it's gonna give you, okay? All right, I'm gonna give you another one to try. Cosine of x equals negative 1/3. Try that one. All right, the first one you get, probably good to go, 109.47. One more decimal place. Because in AP, or in calculus, I don't know what y'all are all going into, you need 3 decimal places.
70.528.
Wouldn't get negative 1/3, but you can use that number for something. What quadrant do we need to go into?
250.53.
Check it and see.
I got 280.
Wait, 250.52.
Yeah.
Take the cosine of it and see what you get. What do you have, Julia?
I got 289.
All right, take the cosine of that.
I got negative 0.333.
Okay, so that one was right. 2 what?
Yeah, negative point, 250.53.
One more.
Oh, 52.
Oh, 5.
Oh, okay, all right. So what happened was it spit out this one, 109, right? And then what did you do to get 250?
You subtracted 360.
You've got to find your reference
You
angle.
subtracted it from 360.
I would subtract it from 180. I didn't know what y'all did. Okay, you got it right. I need to know this reference angle so I can also drive it into that quadrant. All right? Do your butterfly, your bow tie. So it gave me 109. I go, thank you, stupid calculator. And then I need to subtract it from 180. once I get that number, do you see I can add it to 180? I always need my reference angle,
Yeah.
okay? All right, so, what we will write on your memo page, I need to wrap it up with
But
this.
if you subtract 180, then it's 70.
And then add that to 180, and it takes you, it's 70 degrees away from here and 70 degrees away from here.
Okay.
It's 70 both ways.
So you just get the angle.
You gotta get your
180
reference.
and add 180.
Yeah,
For each day, whenever you have one, you can
well, it depends on what word you're on. Cosine's negative in the second and third. Okay. Hey, girls, I need to say this real quickly in light of what you're gonna be doing for homework. If I ask it to you like this is good news. Just like if I say this, what's your only answer would be 4, because I've made a decision, I'm on the square root function, okay? Here, there'll only be one answer. You don't, if I'm on inverse sine, I only get one answer, just like my calculator does. What's the first thing that comes to mind?
30.
30. Or pi over 6 if you're in radians.
Yeah.
So if you're on the inverse trig function, it's pretty much just asking you for the first thing that you think of. It all depends on how I write it. But we need to go so you're not late. So just look for me to post. I haven't decided what the homework is, because we had so many different things going on. But I'll post some homework and a memo quiz. And then probably the next class we'll finally have a quiz on verifying identities. But I want to go over some more.
Next class.
No memo quiz next class. The one after that.
Memo quiz.